You grew up with your parents constantly telling you, mind your manners. Do this. Don't do that. Proper etiquette is nothing new, but being a netizen is. Online communication and the digital era are constantly changing the way we interact with one another. So mind your manners is no longer just advice for children. Hi, my name is Lindsay, and welcome to another awesome episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. In this episode, we're talking about netiquette, the do's and don'ts of online learning. Using the modal verb should, I'm going to give you advice on how to conduct yourself in the online learning experience. Visit our website, bitesizeenglish.com, for a fun and interactive quiz game from this episode, which will help you review the content and the modals in more detail. First, did you notice a strange word I used at the beginning of this video? Yep, it was netizen. This word is a combination of two English words. Can you guess which two? That's right, the words internet and citizen. With most jobs, education, and entertainment being online, the majority of us are now netizens. We spend a lot more time online than in the past. Now let's take a look at the word netiquette. Which two words were used to create netiquette? Great, that's it. Etiquette and internet. Cool, right? As you might have guessed, netiquette is the rules and norms for interacting with others on the internet in a considerate and respectful way. Take a minute to think about what is proper behavior in an online environment. Think about how much of your daily life you spend online. What are some rules and guidelines you already know? Let's get to it. Rule 1. Be on time for class. Students should sign in on time. You shouldn't arrive late and disrupt the class. Students should treat an online class the same as an in-person class. You should check your technology before the class begins. Make sure your camera and your microphone are working. You'll need them for class interaction. Notice the structure of the modal verb should. You have subject plus should plus the base form of the verb. In the negative sentence, the structure is similar. You just add the negative. Subject plus should plus not plus the base form of the verb. When native speakers talk, they contract the modal verb in the negative. We say shouldn't instead of should not. We use the modal verb should to give advice. Rule number 2, be respectful. You shouldn't use strong language. For example, all capital letters or exclamation marks. This can lead to misunderstanding because body language can be missing in an online context. You don't want people to think you're yelling at them and mistaken you for being rude. Students should always be respectful. Remember, if you wouldn't say it in person, it's probably not a good idea online either. Rule 3. Yes, grammar does matter. Text speak can be great for your friends, but in an online class, keep it formal. Students should use proper spelling and grammar when communicating using the chat. And you shouldn't use slang when discussing ideas or talking to your teacher. Rule 4. Don't abuse the chat feature. The chat is a place where students should share ideas and ask questions related to the lesson. But this can quickly become a distraction. You shouldn't use the chat as a personal messenger service for conversation with friends. Students should use the chat to communicate thoughts, ideas, and answers about the lesson. Well, that's all for today. Now that you've learned how to give advice using should, please comment on our social media and give us advice on what type of content you'd like to see. Show us what you learned today. For example, hey, BSE, you should do a lesson on present perfect tense. don't forget, there's a quiz about this episode waiting for you on our website. Remember, you should subscribe, share, send us your questions and comments. You should also follow us on Facebook and Instagram too. Until then, thanks for watching. See you next time. Let's begin with a trip down memory lane. Think back about just over a year ago. What did your typical workday look like? Maybe something like this. Your alarm goes off way too early, you rush to get ready, grab a coffee to go, and you're out the door just in time. You arrive right before your 9 a.m. meeting, a little out of breath, and work a full 8-hour day at the office. But that was so 2019. Now your normal workday might look something like this. With many people working remotely, our homes and the internet are the new workspaces. So fellow netizens, get ready for Netiquette Part 2, Work from Home Meetings. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. This episode is about netiquette for work meetings and working from home. Using modal verbs, I'm going to give you some tips on online business meeting protocols. You remember where the word netiquette came from, right? Awesome! It's the words internet and etiquette put together to mean the rules and guidelines for internet behavior. What are some inappropriate behaviors you might have observed during an online meeting? How did this affect the flow of the meeting? Were you able to focus? Last week, we reviewed the structure of modal verbs. Today, we're going to focus on have to and must. You'll notice the structure is the same. Subject plus modal plus base verb. But this time, the meaning of the modal changes. We use have to for necessity and must for strong obligation, formality, and authority. So let's talk meeting netiquette. Rule 1. Join early and be prepared. Employees have to join the meeting a little early, at least 5 minutes before the scheduled start time. Employers value punctuality. You mustn't be late for an online meeting. Mustn't in the negative form has a different meaning. It doesn't mean a lack of obligation. It means this action is not permitted. I want you to notice the contraction. When native speakers talk, the modal must and the negative are contracted to maintain the flow of the conversation. If you want to increase fluency, contractions are something for you to aim towards when studying English. The point of online meetings is to listen and see each other virtually, so it's important to make sure your tech is running smoothly. You must check your microphone and camera before joining the meeting to ensure you can participate. Employees must read through all the documents for the meeting ahead of time and be prepared to discuss and ask questions. This is your obligation as an employee. Rule 2. Dress appropriately. Working from home gives us the freedom to wear anything we want. But your coworkers don't want to see your pajamas and your bedhead. You must be camera ready. You don't have to wear formal office clothes, but you have to be presentable. Getting dressed for work also helps you get in the work mindset, ready to focus, not get back into bed. Did you notice something different about the structure of the negative form of have to? Which sounds correct to you? A, you haven't to wear formal clothes, or B, you don't have to wear formal clothes. It's B. The structure is subject plus do plus not plus have to plus the base verb. The negative comes before the modal have to. Remember, we still contract the negative when speaking. Rule 3. Be aware of your surroundings. It's necessary to find a quiet space to work and set boundaries. You must communicate to family members that you're in a meeting. They have to know it's serious. Remember, your coworkers can see your space and what you're doing. You don't have to have a home office, but your workspace has to have a tidy, clear background. Otherwise, it can be distracting. And most importantly, you mustn't eat during the meeting. This can be perceived as rude or even gross. No one wants to see you eat spaghetti while you talk business. Rule 4, mute your microphone. There's a lot going on during the day at home, and most people are at home all day. Kids are learning online, dogs are barking, other family members also have meetings. It's just plain loud at home. You have to turn off your mic when you're not speaking. This will avoid noisy distractions for everyone, and it's respectful to the person presenting. And for one final tip, remember where you are. It's easy to feel invincible when you're in the comfort of your own home. The internet is a glass room of activity, and your actions, reactions, movements, and habits are there for everyone to see on camera. That's all for today. If you want to keep learning English with us, you have to subscribe to our channel and follow our social media for microbites and interactive content. Don't forget, there's a quiz about this episode waiting for you on our website. Until then, thanks for watching. See you next time. Life is always changing. Compare yourself now to when you were a child. You're probably very different, with different likes, dislikes, hobbies, and routines. The world as we know it has changed drastically in the last year, and presently life just isn't the same for a lot of us. The past to the present always changes, and of course, there's a grammar point we can use to express that. Yay! Hi, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to this amazing episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. Today, we're going to talk about how the past and the present are different using the grammar point used to. Take a minute and think about last year compared to this year. Let's get a chart going to map out the differences. Last year, I worked in an office, went to the yoga studio, taught in a classroom, picked up groceries, and took the subway every day. This year, I work from home, do yoga on YouTube, teach online, drive everywhere, and my groceries are delivered now. What a big change. I hope you noticed that I used the past tense to talk about last year. But we can also use used to talk about actions that happened repeatedly in the past that don't happen anymore in the present. Here are some examples of how we can express the past using used to. Listen carefully and see if you can pick up on the structure of these sentences. I used to practice yoga at the gym, but now I do yoga on YouTube. I used to take the subway, and now I drive everywhere. Did you get it? The structure using used to is subject plus used to plus base verb plus the complement. Used to is a common past expression, and its form and use is similar to a modal verb. It gives extra information about the verb and is followed by a base verb. Okay, so that was pretty simple, but it's too good to be true. Here's where used to can get tricky. It's tricky. Listen and let's see if you can hear the difference. I used to teach in a classroom. I didn't used to teach online. You probably heard it. The second sentence is negative, and I use the auxiliary verb did. Take a guess as to which of these sentences are correct. Take a second to pause the video and think about it because it's a little tricky. I didn't used to teach on YouTube, or I didn't used to teach on YouTube. If you guessed A, good job. I know that's a tricky one. And here's a little secret. Even native speakers can get that one mixed up. Be careful when you use used to in the negative form. You have to use the auxiliary didn't. But then the spelling of used to changes. It isn't in the past form anymore. Can you guess why? If you're thinking it's because the auxiliary is already in the past, you got it. I'm going to say those sentences again, and I want you to listen to how they sound. I didn't used to teach on YouTube, or I didn't used to teach on YouTube. Wow, they sound exactly the same, which makes this so tricky. It's your job to pay special attention to the spelling when in written form. In spoken English, the pronunciation sounds the same. What did you used to do differently last year? Did you used to learn online? Did you used to wear a mask? Wait. I almost forgot. There's another important difference with questions. Did you catch it? When using used to in the question form, you have to use that auxiliary did again. Remember, use question word order for questions. Those basic grammar rules stay the same. You put the verb before the subject in a question. Well, that's all for today. Remember to follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel. Engage in our content. Send us a comment using the grammar you learned from this episode. For example, I didn't used to subscribe to BSE, but now I do. Or ask us a question about our past using the grammar. Show us what you learned. Thank you for watching. See you soon on Bite Size English.
Have a look at this sentence and find the mistake. When writing in English, there's a lot to think about. Hi, I'm Dora, and welcome back to another great episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English.
I thought I saw a ponytail.
We're going to look at common writing mistakes that I see. Some of these mistakes even native speakers do, as for example, the one I just gave you. You might think, well, I use a computer and my spell check is on and it will correct it. Sure, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't know if it's right or wrong. And sometimes even your spell check could get it wrong. So let's see if you can recognize some of these common mistakes or doubts that you may have in your own writing. Did you find that mistake? Is it a lot or a lot? It's a lot, and it's a common mistake that a lot of my students make. The meaning of those two words means many things. Why is this mistake so common? Well, the pronunciation doesn't seem to help, as it might sound like one word to you. And what does the noun lot mean? Nothing that makes any sense, because it's an expression that, unlike a bunch or a few, the noun lot has no meaning. So a lot is idiomatic. And yes, in the history of the English language, we have fused words like already into already and altogether as altogether. But remember, this one isn't the same as those. This one is written as two separate words. And while we've just mentioned it, what's the difference between already and already? What? The two exist and have two different meanings? Yes, they do. Take a look. Last night, dinner was all ready when the guests arrived. Last night, dinner was already burning when the guests arrived. How would you describe how those sentences are different? In which sentence will guests be happy, and in which sentence will the guests be sad? Which one is already an adjective, and which one is it an adverb? In sentence A, everyone will sit down to a beautiful dinner where everything, the salad, the entree, the dessert, are ready for guests to enjoy. In sentence B, the word already as one word is an adverb. It means by the time the guests arrived, the dinner was burning, as the guests must have arrived really late or someone forgot to check the dinner. So I've given you a clue already. Let's see if you can explain how these sentences using altogether are different. We were all together in Florida for that family trip. Altogether, it was an amazing family reunion. Do you see the adjective and adverb this time? Again, A is the adjective with the meaning that everyone in the family was gathered in Florida, whereas B, the one word altogether, means on the whole, taking everything into consideration, the time it took to fly there, booking the hotel for so many people. Even after all of that, it was an amazing family reunion. Okay, I can see how those can be confusing because they're pronounced the same. But take a look at this sentence and say it out loud to yourself. Did you take a minute to think of how you would pronounce the words lose and loose? Which one is a verb? And what's the other one then? To lose is a verb which means that you will misplace something. And the other? It's an adjective, which means that it doesn't fit well, like a loose pair of pants. Notice the pronunciation. To lose has a Z sound, which you make with your tongue high in the mouth, close to the back of the teeth, and you vibrate the air through, Z. Whereas loose is with an S sound. Your tongue is also touching behind the front teeth, but as you make the sound, it also touches the teeth on the sides, and the air doesn't vibrate when you make the sound. Think of the sound a snake makes. S. Look at this sentence, and which one would you circle? He passed or passed his test with flying colors. They're pronounced the same, but which one is it? It's passed with the ed, the simple past of the verb to pass, as in to pass a test. Whereas past can be a noun about a time that exists before now, that's in the past, or as an adverb describing movement. I drove past the store. Here's one that your spell check won't correct. Exercising then eating is better. Exercising then eating is better. Than or then. I see this mistake again and again in our students' writing, and I don't know what they're trying to say. A is trying to compare the activity of exercising and eating, but uses the wrong sentence structure. In writing about a comparison, you'd write, exercising is better than eating. Noun plus to be plus adjective plus than plus noun. B is correct. It's about a timeline of activities. You will exercise, and after that, you will eat. Here's the tip. Sometimes when you write how you say it, and even if you say it correctly, you still need to be sure. Learn to notice words that you see in English print around you. Then question it. Is that a verb, an adjective, an adverb? And find out more about it. The more you do it, the better informed you'll be. That's all for today. Thanks for watching Bite Size English. Write your comments below about any other words that confuse you, and we'll see you next time for another exciting episode.
Everyone has to deal with change. At work, home, school, and even though we know change is a big part of life, this still doesn't make change easy. For many people, life has really changed in the last year. Some things are better, and others, well, they're taking a little more time to be normal. Think about what has been easy to change, and what you're still getting used to. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to another great episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. In this episode, we're going to build upon the grammar point used to. So if you need a refresher, go back and watch episode 24, because today we are adding on using be used to and get used to. I know you guys remember that used to is used to express past actions or habits that have changed and are no longer happening now. For example, I used to teach in the classroom, but now I teach on YouTube. Now, in the present, I don't teach in the classroom anymore. And this has been a big change for me. Let me think. Now, what are some things that I'm used to about teaching online? What are some things I'm still getting used to? I hope you heard me use used to in those questions, but each one looked and sounded a little different. Used to is unrelated to the two other phrases, but be used to and get used to have similar meanings and sentence structures. Some English learners find it difficult to distinguish between the three. Others can tell them apart, but have trouble forming sentences with them. So let's learn how to recognize and use each. We all know that there have been some big changes in the way we live in 2021. What are you used to now? Can you guess the meaning of be used to through context?
Yeah.
Here are a couple examples. I'm used to working from home. James is used to wearing a mask. James is weird. See what I mean? But I'm used to him. Choose be used to say that you're accustomed to something, that it's normal or usual. If you're used to something, it's not difficult, new, or strange. In be used to, the verb be can take the present, past, or future tense, with the future being uncommon. Well, how do we form a sentence? Pause the video and look at the examples. See if you can figure it out. Maybe that was a little
Tricky. It's
tricky. So here's the answer. Subject plus be plus used to plus a gerund, noun, or pronoun. Remember, gerunds are nouns with ing endings. What is your new normal? What are you used to now? And finally, get used to. Remember, it's related to the meaning be used to with a small change. What's the difference between these two sentences? Do you know? I'm used to working from home. I'm getting used to working from home. Okay, here's one more. He's used to online meetings. He is getting used to online meetings. Pretty similar. But when we use get used to, it means these things are not normal yet, but they are changing to be normal. It's becoming less new and more comfortable. Now, what about the structure?
Nobody cares.
Did you notice that it's the same as be used to? Subject plus get plus used to plus gerund, noun, or pronoun. Get can also be used in any tense. For example, I got used to Zoom calls. I will get used to staying home. So that's it for this episode. Now that you've learned how to express normality and change, make yourself a list, test your skills, and use the grammar you learned today. What is your new normal? Answer by commenting on this video using be used to or get used to. Show us the grammar in use. I'm sure getting used to teaching you guys every week on BSE. Remember, you should subscribe, share, send us your questions and comments. Check out our Facebook and Instagram too. Until then, thanks for watching. See you next time.
What time is it? It's prepositions time. Today we're answering a request for an episode on prepositions. There are 3 categories of prepositions. In this show, we'll only discuss one category. We'll look at some prepositions of time. Hi, I'm Dora, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. Prepositions are difficult to remember. They are those tiny words that are just a few letters, but are the key to sounding like a native speaker when used correctly. So go get that cup of coffee or tea, take a deep breath, sit back, and see how much you already know. Look at these prepositions. Let me ask you some questions and you tell me which preposition do you use. When was YouTube created? In 2005. When do people go to the beach? In the summer. Which month do we celebrate Easter? It's in April. When do you eat breakfast? In the morning. When is this episode over? In 4 minutes. We use the preposition in for years, seasons, months, when we use the words morning, afternoon or evening, and for periods of time. Now, which preposition do we use here? James likes to exercise Sunday mornings. James likes to party his birthday. We need a preposition. But which one? That's right, it's on. We use the preposition on when you name a day or dates. When someone asks you, what will you do this weekend? Don't say, I'll go shopping in Saturday. Nope, try again. You'll say, I'll go shopping on Saturday. And when I ask you, what will you do on your birthday? You'll say, I'll celebrate and eat cake with my family on my birthday. Now here's something to know. Here in Canada and the US, we say, I'll see my friend on the weekend. I'll be with my family on Christmas Day. But in British English, they'll say, at the weekend or at Christmas. And when do we use the preposition at? Listen to these sentences. At 7 a.m., James works. At noon, James eats lunch. At 1 p.m., James goes for a walk. At 2 p.m., James reads emails. James plays video games at night, or James relaxes at night. Take a minute to look at these sentences. We use at when we use a time and when we talk about the night. Last one, from and to. We use from for the start time or day, and to for the time or day when the activity is finished. Here's an example. Here in Canada, most people work in offices from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Here at Bite Size English, we work from Monday to Sunday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. to make new episodes for you. We are busy from New Year's Day to Christmas Day, and we'll always be there for you, our students. Test time. Which prepositions do you use for times of the day? Right, the preposition at. When do we use on? For a day or a date. When we talk about years, months, seasons? Yep, the preposition in. Here's a tip. Watch this episode again and ask yourself these questions. Which year was I born? Which month is my birthday? Which days do I work? What time do I eat dinner? What time is your favorite store open? When learning or practicing new language, always use it to talk about yourself first to help you remember it. Did you enjoy your coffee break today? Remember to click subscribe so that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you'll get to watch a new episode. That's all for today. See you next time right here on Bite Size English. You're on holiday seeing the sights. And of course, shopping. You see something absolutely gorgeous in the window, and you have to have it. How do you tell the sales clerk what you want? Hi, I'm Dora, and in today's episode, let's look at the order of adjectives.
What you talking about, Will?
What? Not sure what that is? Don't worry, we're about to explain. And if you like this episode, please subscribe and share it. I'd like that dress, please. Which dress? Well, you got the right noun, but now you need to start describing that noun. So you say, the red dress. Great. You just used an adjective to describe what you want. But then the sales clerk asks, which red dress? Okay, you need more adjectives. What would you say? Let's hear it. How about let's see it? Is it the wedding red and gold dress or the red and gold wedding dress? You'd say, I'd like the red and gold wedding dress, please. So why is the other one incorrect? Because to sound like a native speaker, you need to know the order of adjectives. And wedding red and gold dress makes you sound like you're saying things all backwards. Take out a pen and write this down. OSASComp. What is that? It's an acronym to help you remember the order of adjectives. Opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, and purpose. Beautiful, ugly. Delicious, gross. These are all opinions, and those come first. Adjectives that describe size are, of course, big, small, short, tall. What about age? Yes, old, young, and middle-aged. Then there are the shapes of all different kinds. Round, square, or oval. Color? Well, all the colors of the rainbow and beyond are all adjectives. What about origin? Where did this object come from? From Italy? Then what's the adjective? Well, it's from Italy, so it's Italian. It's from China? Then it's Chinese. From Korea? Then it's Korean. From France? Then it's French. I'm from Canada, so I'm Canadian. And what is the object made of? Wood, silk, plastic, glass, or steel? And here's the hardest one. What is this object's purpose? What do we use this object for? Let's think back to the first example. So here it is again. We have 3 adjectives, 2 are colors, and 1 is, well, what is this dress for? It's for a wedding. A bride would wear it for her wedding. So the reason why we say a red and gold wedding dress is because colors come before purpose. Okay, so let's test what you know. Look at this. Ooh la la. Describe this car. What adjectives would you use? Here are some that I thought of. Red, beautiful, sports, new, Italian car. Put the words in order. What's my opinion? It's beautiful. I don't have a size adjective in my list, so we continue. What's the age? New. What's the color? Red, of course. Is there any other color for this car? Where is it from? It's a Ferrari. It's Italian. What's its purpose? Aha! It's a sports car. Hello, Ferrari. I'd like to order a beautiful, new, red Italian sports car, please. Actually, make that 4. We're YouTubers, you know. So ready for that tip? Remember the acronym OSASComp? Now look around you and try to describe what you see with adjectives. You know, in the correct order. Hey BSC fans, have you heard? We're offering classes now. Go to our website, bitesizeenglish.com, for more information. That's all for today. I've got to go get my new car. I'll see you next time right here on Bite Size English.
What do these images have in common? They're all very different, but I'm not crazy, I promise. Here's a hint. They belong to the same part of speech in English. Now can you get it? They're nouns. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to another cool episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English.
I'll be back.
In this episode, we're learning about count and non-count nouns, what they are, and some important tricks and tips you need to know. Visit our website, bitesizeenglish.com, for a chart to add the nouns you learned today, plus all the new nouns you learned throughout your English learning adventure. So, what is a noun anyway? Correct, a person, place, or thing. Nouns do have many functions, but to name a few, they can be used as subjects, objects, or complements. Like usual, let's begin easy and get to the difficult stuff later. So that means we start with count nouns. You might have heard that count nouns are things that you can literally count. This is true, but unfortunately, it's not that simple. Here are some tips for count nouns. They can be plural. Plural forms add s or es. Example, I have 3 pencils. James eats 2 sandwiches for lunch. They also use articles. I have a dog, just 1. They can be used with some, any, a few, and many. BSC has many followers. Other examples of count nouns are car, phone, book, tacos, and friends. And now, non-count nouns. It's not as easy as saying that we simply can't count these nouns because there are so many exceptions. For example, this is true for liquids like milk, water, juice. But there are non-count nouns that we can count, like money or even rice if you really wanted to. So this is how we're going to think about non-count nouns. They are not used in plural forms, and you can't put numbers in front of them. For example, you can't say rices, monies, milks. I have 10 monies? Wrong. You would say I have $10. They can be used with some, any, a little, and much. The students have a little homework. Dora doesn't drink any milk. Here are more examples of non-count nouns. Air, sand, homework, tea, traffic. Can you think of any more? For our last point, and I don't even want to tell you this, but there are nouns that are both count and non-count. I know, it's confusing and totally not fair. Let's look at some examples. Would you say chicken is count or non-count? Well, chicken is non-count if it's a food, but it's countable if it's an animal. Compare these two. I ate chicken last night. There are 14 chickens on the farm. If you were to say, I ate a chicken last night, people would think that you meant that you ate the whole chicken. Another example, coffee and coffees. Although coffee is non-count, people often say, I've had 3 coffees today, because they mean 3 cups of coffee. The same happens with beer too. Beer is non-count as a liquid, but when we say James had 2 beers with his 2 sandwiches, we're talking about the individual bottles, not the beer as a liquid. Context is important here for these tricky nouns. Well, that's all we have for you today.
Phew!
Practice makes perfect and really helps when learning nouns. When you learn new vocabulary, make it a point of knowing if it's a count or non-count noun. Charts also help and are really easy. Check out our website and print out the basic chart. Use the examples from this episode and place them in the correct category. Add more to the chart as you learn. Don't forget, if you like us, subscribe. If you don't want to miss an episode, subscribe. If you want even more, check out our website for the info on our new classes. We're always interested in your questions and comments, so check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching. See you next time on BSE.
You meet a person on a date, and they say, I always eat junk food. I am sometimes romantic. I occasionally play video games. I never eat at home. Would you date this person? I'm not sure about them. Why not? Well, they say all the wrong things. What if they say, I am always romantic. I sometimes eat junk food. I occasionally eat at home. I never play video games. You should say, hey, maybe I'd have a date with them. These words, always, sometimes, occasionally, never, they changed your mind. But how? What do they mean? Hi, I'm Dora, and welcome to another super episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English, because we know you want them.
Say hello to my little friend!
In today's show, we're looking at some adverbs of frequency. Adverbs which describe how many times you do something. Take a look at this scale. It will show you how many times you do something, from 0% or zero number of times to 100%. You do something all the time. How many times should they be romantic? Zero number of times or 100% of the time? I hope you said 100% of the time. For this example, we want to hear always, as it's all the time. They always open the door for their friend. They always bring them flowers. They always remember their birthday and their anniversary. Wow, what a wonderful person. Now look at this. Where would we put that word sometimes? It's not 0% of the time. It's not 100% of the time. It's somewhere in the middle. Maybe 50 to 60% of the time. I sometimes eat junk food. Chips are my favorite. I sometimes eat ice cream. In the summer, oh yes, but winter, no, not really. I sometimes eat candy. Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Good, chocolate. So these are things you can do on special days, when it's a treat, but not all the time. And remember that person you met? They say they occasionally play video games. What does that mean? It's not 0% and not 50%. I say it's less than 50% of the time, maybe only 10%. A very small number of times, and only 1 or 2 times a week they play video games. That's occasionally. Look at the scale. Do we still like this person? And then they say they never eat at home. So 0% of the time do they have a meal at home. They must be really very busy, or maybe they don't know how to cook. Now look at this. Sometimes I study English at night. I sometimes study English at night. I study English at night sometimes. What's going on here? Why am I putting the word sometimes before the sentence, after the subject, and at the end of the sentence? Because I can, and they all mean the same, and they're all grammatically correct. With adverbs of time, you can put them at the beginning, middle, or end sometimes. And that's all good. Okay, let's test what you learned. Look at the scale. Where do I put the word always, and sometimes, and occasionally, and never? Always is in position A, sometimes in B, occasionally in C, and never is D. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So here's the tip. Try and ask yourself and your friends these questions. What do you always do before going to work or school? What do you sometimes drink when you feel tired? What do you occasionally do with family, but you always do with friends? What do you never want to do in your life? Remember, when learning new words, it's good to practice them by talking about yourself first. Share your answers in the comments below this video. We want to hear from you, our fans and viewers. Don't forget to always watch our BSE YouTube episodes. We are never tired of teaching you. So long for now, and see you next time on Bite Size English.
Come here. Okay. Don't say it. Cross my heart. Fingers crossed. Air quotes. Loser. Peace. Rock on. Why am I saying these expressions? Because here in Canada and the US, we say all these expressions with our hands. Hi, I'm Dora, and welcome to another great episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English.
Bond. James Bond.
One of our fans wrote that they would like an episode explaining hand gestures, and we thought, what a great idea, Edward Masanori. Thank you. So I gathered a group of our students from all around the world, and they will demonstrate these hand gestures. It's great to know these because they are very common forms of non-verbal communication. Your teacher does this gesture, this one that Vanya in Mexico is doing. What are you supposed to do? Your teacher is asking you to come closer to them. It's called a beckoning gesture. And this one means, come here. You're answering a question in class, and it's correct. Your teacher does this or this. They both mean okay or right. That's Ege in Turkey. You're talking with your friends, and just when your friend starts to talk about a secret or something they shouldn't say out loud, you see this. It means stop talking. And when you see someone do it to you, it means you need to change the topic now. Can you keep a promise? Now do this cross your heart. Crossing your heart means that what you're saying is true and that you promise to do what you just said. Our students write to us and tell us that they're studying for an English exam, which will help them come to Canada or let them into a university program. I always send them an emoji for fingers crossed. I tell them I'm crossing all my fingers and even toes. It's a gesture for good luck. Thanks, Laura in Germany. Good luck on your exams too. You see this. Watch Danny in Mexico. Looks funny, but it's not really nice. The person is telling you that they think someone is a loser. The letter L stands for loser. We see this hand gesture all the time. Thank you, Martino in Italy. This is the gesture of peace. And no, we don't normally use this when taking photos here in North America. And finally, this is seen in concerts, especially rock concerts. The devil horns tell someone to keep on rocking. Thanks, Pablo, in Chile. So now, repeat after me. I will promise to subscribe to BSC's YouTube channel. Watch BSC every day to improve my listening and English language skills. Now, what do? Cross your heart, of course. Until next time, rock on. Peace. Okay? See you later on Bite Size English.
I'm going to put you to work right away today. Grab that pen and paper and make a schedule like this. Now, beside each time period, I want you to write down one activity you usually do. You're going to use this to practice what you learn after the lesson. Take a look at my list if you need some ideas. Hey there, it's Lindsay from Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. Today, we're going to learn the basics of the present simple tense. We will cover affirmative and negative statements and yes/no questions in the simple present. Stay up to date with our website, bitesizeenglish.com, for activities and content related to our lesson. Let's learn. Do you know how we form a simple sentence in English? The simplest sentence has a subject and a verb, like this: I teach. But we usually do add more information to our sentences. So they also have complements. So let's add something. I teach English. Now you know the structure to form the simple present. Subject plus base verb. It's that easy. Something important you have to know with this tense is the verb form changes in the third person. The subject-verb agreement rule says you must add an S to simple present verbs when the subject is in third person, like this. Now let's move on to forming negative statements. This is different for a couple reasons. Have a look. I do not teach Spanish. You're correct in noticing that the present verb is the same, but yes, there's another verb plus not which forms the negative. This other verb is called an auxiliary. The common auxiliary verbs used in this tense are do and be. Which of these do you think is correct? Pause it and take a good look. If you guessed, Martin does not read, awesome! The auxiliary verb must agree with the third person subject. You add the S to the auxiliary. Try and change the first set of examples into negative statements. I'll give you a minute. Did you remember to add the S? Most of the time, you can contract these auxiliary verbs with not. Do not becomes don't. Is not becomes isn't. And does not becomes doesn't. Now on to yes/no questions. How do we form questions in English? You got it. Remember to use question word order. And what is that? When forming questions, the verb comes before the subject. We will use my first two examples and make them questions. Is Lindsay an English teacher? Does Lindsay teach English? I want you to notice a few things here. First, I hope you remembered the subject-verb agreement. Did you notice one has two verbs and the other only one? Why? You got it. Be is used as an auxiliary verb or a main verb. But if your main verb is not an auxiliary, you need to add one, just like in the second example. Finally, in English, we use the question mark at the end of the sentence. Why are these called yes/no questions? Because when you ask these questions and someone responds, they will answer with yes or no. Does Dora write awesome episodes? Yes. Do you like BSC episodes on YouTube? Yes! Is Toronto hot right now?
No!
That's all for this episode. Now you know the basics of the simple present, but you're not done yet. Go back to your schedule from the beginning of the episode. Now that you learned the grammar, for each activity you wrote down, form an affirmative, a negative, and a yes/no question using simple present. Write one sentence in the comments of this video to show us that you got it. Do you subscribe to our channel? Please do, so you can be informed as soon as new episodes come out. We also have the social media works, so follow along on Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn. Our website has info on classes too, so be sure to check that out. Have a great week. See you here next time on BSE. Time for some word games and jokes. What's the difference between a bus driver and a nose?
I don't know.
One knows the stops, the other stops the nose. What advice did one bee give to another bee? Just be yourself.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, let's be serious now. Guess this one. Hint, we've done a lesson about these before. What words sound the same but have different meanings and or spellings?
Hey, what happened?
Can't remember? Go back and check out
Episode 38.
You guessed it, we're learning homophones again. Hi, it's Lindsay, and welcome to another great episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. In this episode, we're learning some more homophones, with these sets focusing on present tense verbs. Check out our website, bitesizeenglish.com, for class info and lesson content. These are fun, so let's start. Take a look at these words in today's lesson. Pause the video and write them down. What do you notice about the words? Correct. All the words are verbs in the present. Learning these homophones can help to study verbs. The present tense uses the base form of verbs. Before we get to the homophones, see if you can guess the word pairs before I give you the answers throughout the lesson. Take a minute and write them down beside the verbs, and at the end of the lesson, see if you were right. Remember, homophones are words that sound the same but have different meanings and spellings. The first set is know and know. The verb know means to be aware of or have knowledge. And the word know is both an exclamation and a determiner. Here are some examples in context. I know BSE is a great YouTube channel to learn English. No. We have no eggs left in the fridge. Which no is the exclamation and which one is the determiner? The first no in the sentence is the exclamation or negative response. The second no is the determiner, which means none or zero. Can you make one sentence with the two examples using both words? I know we have no eggs in the fridge. This set is still the verb know, but this time with an S. Why and when do we add S to the verb? When we use the third person. For example, I know, you know, he or she knows. It's that subject-verb agreement rule again. What other word sounds the same as the verb knows? Hint, it's something on your face. You got it, knows. Try and write one sentence with both again. Here's my example. James knows his nose is perfect. What verb does this image depict? And which adverb for this one? Great! Wear is having clothing on, and where refers to a place or location. Check out some examples. I have so many clothes in my closet, but I never know what to wear. Where can you find awesome free English lessons? On BSE. Where do you find great clothes to wear? Listen to this one first. I want to learn the right way to write in English. Did you hear the two homophones? Listen again. I want to learn the right way to write in English. It was right and right. But how do we spell them? Here's the sentence in text. Notice the spelling. Just like the last time, for the final set of homophones, I'm going to give you 3. Let's work through context. The last 3 are by, and by. Pause the video and decide which by goes with which sentence. For number 1, if you chose bye, you're right. Bye is the informal way of saying goodbye. Number 2 was by. Right again. By is a preposition. And if you remember from previous episodes, it's used to identify who performed an action. Number 3, the last sentence was buy. This is the present verb and it means to purchase goods or items. That's all for this episode. When studying these words, it helps to put an image with each word to help remember meanings. Practice writing the words in context and see if you can use both homophones in one sentence. Use the comment section to write your sentences using the homophones and share with us. It's always great when we can see our students using the grammar from our episodes. You know where to find us. And if you don't want to miss your weekly episodes, subscribe to our channel. Our social media content is pretty cool too. So check us out on Facebook and Instagram for more English fun and language tips. Thanks for watching. See you next week on BSE. Bye.
A friend, a classmate, or colleague achieved something great. They succeeded. What do you say to this person? Hi, I'm Dora, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. We're talking about ways that you can express how you feel about someone's success. Many of you might already know to say congratulations. You might hear in more friendly circles a shorter congrats. But then, do you just stand there silent or walk away? Maybe you want to say more. How about that's awesome or just awesome? You hear this said in many North American TV shows or movies, and yes, we do say this quite often.
Awesome! Awesome! Awesome!
But don't think this word as being too common to use. Don't forget the many ways in which we say this word to stress it. You could say, way to go. It's an idiom from the world of sports. Its literal meaning is, that's the way to do it. Don't forget how to say it naturally. It should slide out of your mouth as, way to go. We do not pronounce the to fully. Fantastic or great job are all more common ways to say, I think what you did was great. You might hear some people say, hats off, well done, or marvelous. But these expressions might come from people in the UK or an older generation here in North America. Now, let's combine all of these expressions because you can. And don't forget that facial expression to match because we love seeing that great big smile and body language to know it's sincere. You hear someone say, I'm proud of you, or you make me proud. What is the relationship between these people? These are words said between someone in a superior position to a person below them. Parents to children, teachers to students. Are they more formal expressions? Yes, they are. More than the ones we just discussed. An even better expression is, you should feel really proud. Because when someone succeeds,
They didn't do it to make you feel proud. They did it to make themselves feel good, right? You want to compliment the person about their abilities. In North America, within a very friendly work environment, you might hear someone scream from the corner of the office, "You the man!" It means you were the right person for this job. Or you could say, in a one-to-one situation or email, "You're a natural," which means you're telling the person you have a natural talent for this job. Or, "You're amazing," is showing real admiration in a person's talents and abilities. And here's my last idiomatic complimentary expression. You knocked it out of the park. Again, a sports expression from the world of baseball, where hitting or knocking the baseball out of the ballpark means that you've won a point for your baseball team. This idiom is used in any situation when someone did a super job and achieved something beyond anyone's expectations. Listen to how I say it. You knocked it out of the park. Listen again and follow after me. Park. The park. Out of the park. It out of the park. Knocked it out of the park. You knocked it out of the park. Wow, you knocked that one out of the park. Here's the tip. In new environments, when people are celebrating in a language that's your additional language, we want to sound like we fit in. And mastering these simple expressions for these little moments helps. Practice in front of a mirror, watch this episode and repeat after me, and look at your face and your body. Does your entire self mean what you say? English is an expressive language, so don't be shy. Show how you feel when you say it, and your friends will appreciate it. That's all for today. If you like this episode, then click on like. Want more useful everyday expressions? Then I'll be waiting right here on Bite Size English for all your comments. I'm waiting.
Look at James and I. We have some things in common, like we are both nice, cool, fun, and old. But when you look at us, we are more different than we are alike. I mean, when we compare things such as height, size, looks, and other traits, James and I are very different. I mean, he's so much weirder than I am. Hey, it's Lindsay here, and welcome to a new episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. In today's episode, we're going to learn about comparative adjectives, what they are, when we use them, and the rules associated with this grammar. Let's go. An adjective is a part of speech which gives us information and descriptions about nouns. In these sentences, which word is the adjective? Yes, easy, small, and beautiful. These adjectives give us a description of the nouns they're modifying. English, Percy, and Toronto. Notice how the adjective gives extra information about those nouns. They tell us something about them. We can also use adjectives when we want to compare two nouns, and these will be comparative adjectives. Before you continue, brainstorm as many adjectives as you can and write them down. If you need inspiration, go back to the start and write down adjectives that would describe James and I. But be nice. To form comparatives, you need to know what syllables are. Syllables are parts of a word that contain a sound and have a vowel in it. Syllables can be considered the beat of a word. To count syllables, you count the vowel sounds in a word. What are the vowels? A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Count the syllables of the adjectives in the three previous examples. Remember, you count the vowel sounds, not the number of vowels in the word. Small has one vowel and one vowel sound, which means it's one syllable. Easy, two syllables. Beautiful has 5 vowels, but does it have 5 syllables? No. Beautiful has 3 syllables. Let's get to the rules. First, we'll begin with 1-syllable adjectives. Remember, James and I from the beginning. Time to compare. Here are some 1-syllable adjectives to compare us. Tall, short, and cool. James is taller than Lindsay. Lindsay is smaller than James. James might be cooler than Lindsay. What was added to the end of the adjectives? ER. With 1-syllable adjectives, you add an ER to the end of the adjectives. Let's try a few more. Big, bigger. Short, shorter. Nice, nicer. So what happens if there are 2 or more syllables? Like the word beautiful. You're going to add more or less in front of the adjective, like this. Toronto is less expensive than New York. Chinese is more difficult than English. Notice the adjective stays the same. Can you think of more adjectives with 2 or more syllables? Write them down for practice. Adjectives that end in Y have their own rule. Here are some examples. Pretty, happy, easy, and heavy. How many syllables do these adjectives have? They all have 2. But do you think this is right? English is more easy than Chinese? Wrong. Yes, these are 2 syllables, but adjectives ending in Y remove the Y and add IER to the end of the adjectives. Let's try. Pretty, prettier. Happy, happier. Easy, easier. Heavy, heavier. Now let's go back and correct the example. English is easier than Chinese. There are a couple important irregular comparatives you need to know. Good and bad. These are irregular because they don't follow any of the previous rules. You just have to memorize them. How many syllables are they? That's right, 1. But you would never hear a native speaker say gooder or badder. Those aren't real words. We use better and worse. YouTube is better than Netflix. Winter is worse than summer. Well, that's all we've got for today. A good way to practice comparatives is using topics like 2 cities, 2 seasons, or 2 books and movies, and compare them on your own. Watch the episode again and write down the rules and transform the adjectives that you brainstormed into comparatives. Like always, if you like us, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss an episode. And hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video and learned something new. We have social media too. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you want classes, we have them. For more information, visit the website bitesizeenglish.com. See you next week. Bye. Yo, BSC fans, what's up? Picture this. You're at a party with some of your English friends and you want to sound cool and respond in a natural, informal way because you're at a party, not a business meeting. How are you going to greet people? Respond to their questions. Say goodbye, thank you, or apologize if you have to. Hey, it's Lindsay, and welcome to a cool episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. Today's episode focuses on simple slang. You're going to learn common English slang for greetings, yes and no, goodbyes, and thank you. Make sure you're taking notes throughout the episode because you're going to want to study and learn the slang to use at your next English experience. All languages have their own slang, but what exactly is slang? Slang is a type of language with words and phrases that are seen as very informal. It is much more common in speaking than writing. And slang is also regional. This means that Canadian slang is different than British or Australian. For example, using British slang in Canada might sound a little strange and possibly not be understood. You probably already know hello and hi as a greeting, but native speakers don't always greet each other this way. How did I greet you at the beginning of the episode? Hey, yo BSE fans, what's up? I use yo and hey as a different way to say hello. Yo is extremely informal, very common in America, and you probably hear it a lot on TV. This greeting should only be used with very close friends and never in a business setting. Hey is a short and casual hello with someone you know. You can also add on hey bro, hey dude, hey girl, or hey buddy. But be careful. Not everyone wants to be called bro or girl. You don't want to offend someone. Usually when someone says hi, we follow with how are you doing? This is a simple way to get the conversation started. But with friends, you can use what's up, or the super short version, sup. Remember, slang greetings are super informal and should only be used with people you know well. Part of keeping a conversation going is asking questions and answering them. Can you think of any different ways we say yes and no? Some slang you can use to say yes are totally, yeah, yep or yup, for sure, and you bet. James always uses this one, and it's kind of old school. So if we want to respond with a no, we can use nope, nah, negative, and yeah, right. Was it a good party? Negative, or nah. Do you like winter? Nope. Yeah, right. Some other important simple slang you can slide into conversations would be different forms of saying sorry and thank you. Instead of the generic, I'm sorry, you might hear, my bad. This is used to admit fault or a mistake. For example, I forgot to pick up the dry cleaning. My bad. But have you ever heard someone say this? I forgot to pick up the dry cleaning. This is used when you're not actually sorry. It's an insincere apology. Imagine your friend shows up at your house with a bottle of wine. You rock is a cool way to say thank you. Cheers is also a form of thank you. Another common slang term you might be familiar with is no biggie. Thanks for driving me home from the party. No biggie. This means no problem or you're welcome. It's almost time to say goodbye. Common slang for goodbye include I'm off, later, take it easy, see ya. And if you're looking to sound really cool and hip, you could say peace out or lates. That concludes our first episode on slang, but don't worry, there are more to come. Remember, it's important to know slang is very informal and used with people you know in informal settings. If you like our content, subscribe. For those of you who have, you rock! Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn, and our website, bitesizeenglish.com, are great ways to interact with new English content and improve your skills. Well, I'm off. See you here next week on BSC. Peace out.
Yo.
Hello, Shorty. What are you doing?
Nothing. Sitting here watching the game, smoking some bud.
Are you all alone?
What's up? What's up?
What the? Who's that?
Yo, pick up the phone. What's up?
What's up?
Yo, Duque, pick up the phone. Yo.
What's up?
What you doing, son?
Nothing. Just chilling. Killing.
True.
Have you ever seen this symbol before? You probably know what it is. That's right, it's a comma. But that little bit of punctuation can cause quite the confusion for students learning to write in English, and native speakers too. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to another resourceful episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. This episode has a writing focus. We're going to talk about fanboys, commas, clauses, and compound sentences. Let's learn the rules. Knowing the basics is really important, so let's start with learning the terms related to the grammar point. What's a clause and a phrase? A clause is a fancy word for a sentence. Remember, sentences must have a subject and a verb. I walk Percy. A phrase is simply a group of words used as a unit in a sentence. I walk Percy in the park. A compound sentence is two simple sentences joined together like this. I like working in the office, but I also like Zoom meetings. Both sentences have a subject and a verb. And what is that small word in between the two simple sentences? You got it. It's a coordinating conjunction. These are small words that are used as connectors. They join words, phrases, and clauses. English has 7 coordinating conjunctions. Remember them by using the acronym FANBOYS. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. These are small words, but they are very important because they're used to join words, phrases, and clauses, which means they are common and used a lot. And if you know these words, you'll avoid common mistakes. So, when to comma and when not to comma? That is the question. That's so cheesy. Let's talk about no comma first. Here are the rules. Number 1, no comma is used when the fanboys connect 2 words. The party will have cake and pizza. The conjunction connects 2 nouns, so no comma is needed. Rule 2, no comma is used when the fanboys connect 2 phrases. We can order pizza or make it ourselves. Here, the conjunction connects two verb phrases. No comma is needed. Well, when do we use the comma?
I don't know.
Rule 1. Use a comma when the fanboys connect items in a series, 3 or more. And use a comma between each item. The party will have cake, pizza, and chips. Notice the placement of the commas. Rule 2. Use a comma when combining two clauses to form a compound sentence. The meaning will begin at 10 and it will continue after lunch. The comma is placed at the end of the first clause, before the conjunction. An important thing to remember is when connecting two clauses, they must be related in order to make sense. Time to check your understanding. Do these sentences need commas? Practice punctuating these examples. Yes, commas in a series. Zoom meetings tend to be boring, awkward, or entertaining. No commas in number 2. The conjunction connects two nouns. Let's hope James and Martin don't eat all the pizza. Yes, a comma to connect two clauses. Lindsay is an extrovert, yet she doesn't enjoy parties. That's all for this episode. When reading and writing in English, try to notice when the comma is used. Memorize the acronym fanboys and try and use them in both speaking and writing. Like always, if you learned something, please like this episode and subscribe to our channel. If you're into social media, follow us on Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn for interactive content and language tips. Comment below using the fanboys. Have a great week. See you next time on BSE. You grew up with your parents constantly telling you, mind your manners. Do this. Don't do that. Proper etiquette is nothing new, but being a netizen is. Online communication and the digital era are constantly changing the way we interact with one another. So, mind your manners is no longer just advice for children. Hi, my name is Lindsay, and welcome to another awesome episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. In this episode, we're talking about netiquette, the do's and don'ts of online learning. Using the modal verb should, I'm going to give you advice on how to conduct yourself in the online learning experience. Visit our website, bitesizeenglish.com, for a fun and interactive quiz game from this episode, which will help you review the content and the modals in more detail. First, did you notice a strange word I used at the beginning of this video? Yep, it was netizen. This word is a combination of two English words. Can you guess which two? That's right, the words internet and citizen. With most jobs, education, and entertainment being online, the majority of us are now netizens. We spend a lot more time online than in the past. Now let's take a look at the word netiquette. Which two words were used to create netiquette? Great, that's it. Etiquette and internet. Cool, right? As you might have guessed, netiquette is the rules and norms for interacting with others on the internet in a considerate and respectful way. Take a minute to think about what is proper behavior in an online environment. Think about how much of your daily life you spend online. What are some rules and guidelines you already know? Let's get to it. Rule 1. Be on time for class. Students should sign in on time. You shouldn't arrive late and disrupt the class. Students should treat an online class the same as an in-person class. You should check your technology before the class begins. Make sure your camera and your microphone are working. You'll need them for class interaction. Notice the structure of the modal verb should. You have subject plus should plus the base form of the verb. In the negative sentence, the structure is similar. You just add the negative. Subject plus should plus not plus the base form of the verb. When native speakers talk, they contract the modal verb in the negative. We say shouldn't instead of should not. We use the modal verb should to give advice. Rule number 2, be respectful. You shouldn't use strong language. For example, all capital letters or exclamation marks. This can lead to misunderstanding because body language can be missing in an online context. You don't want people to think you're yelling at them and mistaken you for being rude. Students should always be respectful. Remember, if you wouldn't say it in person, it's probably not a good idea online either. Rule 3. Yes, grammar does matter. Text speak can be great for your friends, but in an online class, keep it formal. Students should use proper spelling and grammar when communicating using the chat. And you shouldn't use slang when discussing ideas or talking to your teacher. Rule 4. Don't abuse the chat feature. The chat is a place where students should share ideas and ask questions related to the lesson. But this can quickly become a distraction. You shouldn't use the chat as a personal messenger service for conversation with friends. Students should use the chat to communicate thoughts, ideas, and answers about the lesson. Well, that's all for today. Now that you've learned how to give advice using should, please comment on our social media and give us advice on what type of content you'd like to see. Show us what you learned today. For example, hey, BSE, you should do a lesson on present perfect tense. Don't forget, there's a quiz about this episode waiting for you on our website. Remember, you should subscribe, share, send us your questions and comments. You should also follow us on Facebook and Instagram too. Until then, thanks for watching. See you next time. Let's begin with a trip down memory lane. Think back about just over a year ago. What did your typical workday look like? Maybe something like this. Your alarm goes off way too early, you rush to get ready, grab a coffee to go, and you're out the door just in time. You arrive right before your 9 a.m. meeting, a little out of breath, and work a full 8-hour day at the office. But that was so 2019. Now your normal workday might look something like this. With many people working remotely, our homes and the internet are the new workspaces. So fellow netizens, get ready for Netiquette Part 2, Work from Home Meetings. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Bite Size English, your daily bite of English. This episode is about netiquette for work meetings and working from home. Using modal verbs, I'm going to give you some tips on online business meeting protocols. You remember where the word netiquette came from, right? Awesome! It's the words internet and etiquette put together to mean the rules and guidelines for internet behavior. What are some inappropriate behaviors you might have observed during an online meeting? How did this affect the flow of the meeting? Were you able to focus? Last week, we reviewed the structure of modal verbs. Today, we're going to focus on have to and must. You'll notice the structure is the same. Subject plus modal plus base verb. But this time, the meaning of the modal changes. We use have to for necessity and must for strong obligation, formality, and authority. So let's talk meeting etiquette. Rule 1, join early and be prepared. Employees have to join the meeting a little early. at least 5 minutes before the scheduled start time. Employers value punctuality. You mustn't be late for an online meeting. Mustn't in the negative form has a different meaning. It doesn't mean a lack of obligation. It means this action is not permitted. I want you to notice the contraction. When native speakers talk, the modal must and the negative are contracted to maintain the flow of the conversation. If you want to increase fluency, contractions are something for you to aim towards when studying English. The point of online meetings is to listen and see each other virtually, so it's important to make sure your tech is running smoothly. You must check your microphone and camera before joining the meeting to ensure you can participate. Employees must read through all the documents for the meeting ahead of time and be prepared to discuss and ask questions. This is your obligation as an employee. Rule 2. Dress appropriately. Working from home gives us the freedom to wear anything we want, but your coworkers don't want to see your pajamas and your bedhead. You must be camera ready. You don't have to wear formal office clothes, but you have to be presentable. Getting dressed for work also helps you get in the work mindset, ready to focus, not get back into bed. Did you notice something different about the structure of the negative form of have to? Which sounds correct to you? A, you haven't to wear formal clothes, or B, you don't have to wear formal clothes. It's B. The structure is subject plus do plus not plus have to plus the base verb. The negative comes before the modal have to. Remember, we still contract the negative when speaking. Rule 3. Be aware of your surroundings. It's necessary to find a quiet space to work and set boundaries. You must communicate to family members that you're in a meeting. They have to know it's serious. Remember, your coworkers can see your space and what you're doing. You don't have to have a home office, but your workspace has to have a tidy, clear background. Otherwise, it can be distracting. And most importantly, you mustn't eat during the meeting. This can be perceived as rude or even gross. No one wants to see you eat spaghetti while you talk business. Rule 4. Mute your microphone. There's a lot going on during the day at home, and most people are at home all day. Kids are learning online, dogs are barking, other family members also have meetings. It's just plain loud at home. You have to turn off your mic when you're not speaking. This will avoid noisy distractions for everyone, and it's respectful to the person presenting. And for one final tip, remember where you are. It's easy to feel invincible when you're in the comfort of your own home. The internet is a glass room of activity, and your actions, reactions, movements, and habits are there for everyone to see on camera. That's all for today. If you want to keep learning English with us, you have to subscribe to our channel and follow our social media for microbites and interactive content. Don't forget, there's a quiz about this episode waiting for you on our website. Until then, thanks for watching. See you next time.